Live from the Green Room Studios, from the spacious property of Bates Nursery and Garden Center, 3810 Whites Creek Pike, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates.
Oh, howdy, everybody. Welcome in. Who was that talking, David Bates?
I don't know. It seems like a familiar voice, but...
Voice from the past?
I don't know.
Josh?
Sir?
It's a past
iPad.
thing.
iPad. Oh, iPad is down? Okay. It's Saturday morning. It's time for the At Home Show.
Would not be what it is without
a glitch.
Those little glitches that
Gremlins
jump out at us. Welcome aboard, everyone. The last Saturday before Christmas edition of the At Home Show.
Not to mean that we won't be here next Saturday morning, dagnabbit.
No, it doesn't. Be a matter of fact, we most certainly will be here next Saturday. And we're really excited to have an encore performance of Allegra Kramer.
Yes.
Going to be playing for us, so we're excited about that. Wonderful talent.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you stay tuned for that coming up next Saturday. But this is not next Saturday.
No.
This is this Saturday.
It is.
And we should take a moment to discuss the weather. And, of course, today is Saturday, the 18th of December.
Whew.
As you see there, it's showing scattered thunderstorms, and we'll look a little more into that, but we'll look at the week ahead, which beyond today looks really nice.
Yes.
We're going to have conditions that are going to be fairly mild. Sunday would be and perhaps Tuesday are the coolest days ahead. But other than that, it's very seasonal conditions. Highs ranging from the mid to 40s up to the lower 60s as we go through the week. Partly cloudy, so we're going to have quite a bit of sunshine, so that's great. So it's going to be a sunny Christmas as it looks right now, and a sunny Christmas Eve. So a lot of great opportunities to get out and do some projects out and about the house. There may be things that you just haven't gotten done, and maybe a Christmas gift for yourself, landscape-wise. So today, once we get beyond this morning, things are going to look a whole lot better. Currently, it's 62 degrees here and at Bates Nursery Center. And if you see over there, we'll go over here to the bigger screen that you will see that there's quite a lot of moisture out there to the left, but it's not going to be intense as it moves through. It's going to be, matter of fact, it's not moving at all. It's just doing that. So, but that is the rain that's out to our west. We're going to be getting some much better conditions. Once we get into the latter part of the morning, it will be significantly
nicer,
more, less rainy, I should say, but the temperatures are going to be cooling down. So just be mindful of that as you come through the day. You might not need a jacket, maybe just a rain garment early on. There we go. Finally got it cranked up there. So you see we're in kind of a little dry spot in between the two areas of rainfall, those just east of Nashville, and then there's that to the west. But much of that appears to be going south of us. We're going to get some rain out of it. It looks to be somewhat dissipating. We'll see if I'm a liar or not about that.
Well, you're a weatherman, so.
Well, I play one on this show. I do.
Did you stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, though?
Well, yeah, and it does count. So anyway, but again, conditions here are very pleasant currently. 62 degrees here in the Music City, live from the Green Room at Bates Nursery.
Now, what about Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania tomorrow, David? Three Rivers, or whatever the Heinz Field or Hunts Field, or you're not.
Nah, I'm not worried about that. I guess it depends for both teams, which team of both teams show up. So,
well,
it's now this is there are 3 weeks left in the regular season. Is that correct?
Well, we don't know yet. They're moving games again, so we'll see what happens. But I don't think they're moving the one in Pittsburgh. But just as a public safety announcement for the people of the greater metropolitan Pittsburgh area, my best friend, godfather to my children, Poppy Joe, Albert Joseph Maxwell, is going to Pittsburgh to watch the game. So just so y'all know, I mean, he can get a little excited out there. I wouldn't want you to threaten to throat punch him or anything, because it could end up in a situation, and he's a little too far to go out and bail out of jail. So I mean, let's just make sure that everybody gets home safe. Okay. Just saying. I'm just saying. So, as it goes along.
Yeah, we still got that. I'm looking over on the monitor, Josh, and we still got that stripe across your face. We need to figure out some way to. Yeah,
I don't like stripes. I'm much more of a polka dot and paisley kind of guy.
I don't know. We had to.
It's this bar right here. Right. This is the one that's causing.
I'm not sure that we have the best.
Is this better?
See, that is better.
That is better.
Yep.
Okay,
but you may not be comfortable sitting in that position.
It's a work in progress, as you noticed. Since Michael left us last week, there's been some rearranging in the green room here.
And we're going to do more of that also.
Yes.
So and of course, I would be remiss, Josh, if we didn't acknowledge the other members of our team here. And today,
there's somebody else here. Okay.
Of course, we're joined capably by our production services of Tyler Blankenship. Tyler, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
And of course, we've got the double team here of horticulturalists today. Austin Lowen, Ben Trest. Welcome, guys. Glad you're on board this morning. And so we are prepared to do a deep dive on junipers today, because Austin went all junipers all day. And so if you wanted to talk about junipers or other conifers, I do see one picea there on the on the corner. That is a spruce.
How'd you know I was a Pisces? Yeah,
I don't even know who did this. Probably Ben.
Picea aurea.
Oh,
yeah.
But like you said, David, all the rest is juniper. I decorated with all juniper. I did that because of Ben, who for the past couple weeks has been talking to me about his landscape and wanting to figure it out and design it. And as horticulturalists do, we think about plants constantly, and we think about what we're going to put at our own home. I know it took me like half a year to figure out what I wanted to plant at my house, and he's been racking his brain. But every time he's talked to me about it, it's always been juniper involved.
Somewhere.
So I decided all juniper today. And what
Since
I wanted
we got Ben on board, because Cary has the day off.
Yes.
And so good morning, Cary. Hope you're having a wonderful day off. But we're glad to have Ben on board.
She's sleeping. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Well,
she's
she
probably sleeping.
probably is. I wouldn't blame her if she was. But by the time she watches this, she won't be asleep. Otherwise, she wouldn't be watching, right?
Okay.
Yep. So hey, I want to start the show.
There I am.
Sorry.
The
Hey,
David
Josh.
Kim finally put me back on. Yeah.
He's a sticker. I just stick him anywhere.
I wanted to ask Josh a question. Josh,
Sir,
what's a cedar tree?
a cedar tree is it's an eastern red cedar is what we see around here primarily.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
those in the know, Josh, would call it a
juniper?
Juniperus virginiana.
Exactly.
Okay.
Juniperus virginiana. Benny?
That's
I call it a
confusing.
fence
That's
line tree is
confusing.
what I
We're-
call them. So.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking common names versus botanical names, and almost everybody comes out and says, hey, I need a cedar tree. I want a cedar tree. Or they talk about their cedar trees. They're not cedars,
No.
are they? Benny, what are they?
Junipers. I mean,
Thank you.
commonly what we call cedar. Of course, there is a cedar genus.
Hey, there is.
I don't think we have any in here with us today.
No. I
They're
didn't
out
do
west
cedars.
though, aren't they, Ben?
Mostly.
Yeah.
But we've got there's the genus is technically for technical cedar trees is Cedrus, and there's only 4 species in the whole genera, in the whole
Name 'em?
world.
I can't name them.
4.
Cedrus atlantica,
Atlantica, which is what we sell. We sell that one. We sell
a number of
Cedrus.
cultivars of that that subgroup.
But they're
Exactly.
white wood when you cut them, correct? The Atlanticas, they have more of a white cast.
They
to the,
do.
Yes.
They do.
Okay.
And then there's Cedrus deodara, the deodar cedar, which we also sell and lives well here.
Yep.
What else is there? Cedrus
The entertainer.
Labonii.
Labonii.
Yes.
Yeah, Cedrus the entertainer.
Yeah.
The fifth.
The cedars of Lebanon, which you've probably heard of. We don't sell that plant here. I don't know that it lives very well here.
Hey, it's a zone 8
Okay.
Plant genus. So Cedros libani it will not do here, but it's a wonderful landscape plant. I mean,
it's a cool plant. It just we can't.
They won't live. I've seen people try them in Memphis and they'll make it a few years, but even there they'll
just about everything that's in Memphis goes away after a couple of years anyway, right?
Mm-hmm. One thing similar about the Cedrus genus and the Juniperus genus is that they both do not like wet feet. They do not like to stay wet at all.
Not at all.
And conifers, as a general rule, there are exceptions to that, but conifers, as a general rule, like well-drained soil, obviously bald cypress are one of those exceptions, it being a deciduous conifer.
Sure.
And they can stand in water and be perfectly content.
They actually kind of prefer it, don't they? Yeah.
Yep.
They do.
You ever been up to Reelfoot Lake? You get to see a whole lot of them out there, and
well, not as many after last week as we might have thought. I understand that the Reelfoot area took a significant amount of damage. There's a bird watching social media site that I follow that stated that the eagles' nests were pretty much decimated there.
Oh, that is really unfortunate. And of course, our continued thoughts go out to the people in the Mayfield, Kentucky. And of course, last Saturday when we were on
Dresden,
that
Union
whole story
City
was just unfolding, and it's been a terrible thing. And for a tornado to stay on the ground for more than 200 miles and more than 3 hours, it's just mind-boggling, and the amount of devastation is just unbelievable. It looks like it's so complete and so spectacular. It would appear to be something out of a movie, but unfortunately, it is not. And it was a tremendous loss of life. I don't know if they still know precise numbers on that as yet, but approaching 100, as I understand it.
Yep.
So there's I don't know where they go, and I'm sure they don't really know for sure where they're going to go in Mayfield, Kentucky. But to all those who had a lot of damage as a result of that, we continue to keep you in our thoughts and prayers. And it's a tough thing to be going through any time of year, particularly with the holidays right here upon us.
Absolutely. But, and again, Mayfield is foremost on everybody's mind, but Paris, Union City, Dresden, the entire corridor that went up through there. I mean, this storm is going to touch a lot of people, and an extended family member, great couple of folks were in their home in Dresden in bed when the roof came off on top of them. So,
oh my word.
But they're resilient folks. And again, as we say, everybody's thinking about you and it's going to work out okay. All right, folks, we can't give out the phone number. I guess we could give out a phone number, but we can give out, you want to give out the old phone numbers, David, or?
No, not really. We can make one up,
555-5512 or?
Yeah, that was an old number. But not our old number.
BR549.
We're really going to try to point you today if you want to interact with us directly. Without Caroline being here, she has our Instagram feed for the At Home Show. But you can reach us through our Facebook page. That's the At Home Show with Josh, Cary, and David Bates. And Tyler, do you have some other connections as well? Do you not?
Yes, I actually. Sorry, my camera's off. But I have some questions that were asked to us on the Bates Nursery Facebook page or Instagram page. So we'll have that as well. Whenever you want it, I will send it.
All right. I think we're feeling it. So,
okay.
Austin, Ben, you guys ready?
We're ready. Let's do it. Throw it out there.
Yeah.
Okay, let me back it up here a little bit. Spider mites, help! That's the first one.
Well, you have to call Dr. Strange first. And I mean, he has to get everything back to normal. He's going to have to cast a spell and do some other things to get the spider mites away, right?
Well, that's a great question. Since we're dealing with conifers today,
yes,
it's a very pertinent question. So, what you got on that, guys?
All right, spider mites. It's really weird. It's kind of weird to me to kind of see them this time of year. I don't know what it's on or what it's affecting, if it's houseplants or if whatever. But spider mites are actually pretty easy to deal with if you know what you've got. The problem is finding them. Typically, you don't know that you've got a problem until you've got a real problem. That's the problem with spider mites. They're super small, very, very small. You can't see them, just with your eye unless you get really, really close. So your numbers typically get big before you can do anything about it, and then you've got damage. So finding them is the first key. Now, getting rid of them isn't really all that hard. They actually spraying them with a hard stream of water typically removes them and gets them off and will get rid of the problem. If it's a much larger problem, then using oils and soaps actually work very effectively. That's an organic approach as well. So covering up with an oil on their body really can get rid of them as well. So
one of the fun facts about spider mites with respect to nursery cultivation, when you go to large container growing operations, spider mites are almost never an issue, simply because the plants are irrigated overhead, and the spider mites do not like moisture. They don't like it. So if you're irrigating, even if you have 100 acres of dwarf Alberta spruce, if you're overhead irrigating them, you're not going to like to have hardly any problem with spider mites at all, because it's very non-conducive reproductive conditions for them. They like it hot and they like it dry.
Yes.
So this time of year, you're going to see a lot of them in the house. And if you've got big leafy things like Scheffleras, you can spot them pretty easy. The test on conifers for finding them typically is take a sheet of white paper that has nothing printed on it and just stick it into the foliage and smack down with your hand to dislodge them, and they'll look like little periods that are moving around on the page. So
Ew.
that's the best way to do it. You got anything else on that, Ben or Austin?
No, the oils and the soaps would kind of be my second. Of course, when you get into plants that don't like water on the leaves, you might kind of get into an area where you have to just treat only when you need it, only when you see them. We don't want to douse some of our hollies, laurels, stuff like that, constantly with water. But if it's the heat of the summer and that stuff dries off, it's not going to hurt the plant.
Are there any systemics?
Oh, certainly. Yep. I mean, yeah, if you don't care about being organic and you just kind of want to get rid of the problem without, worrying about anything else, then yeah, systemic insecticides certainly work for spider mites. So
you just don't want to use those on edible plants.
Right.
If you've got fruit trees or that kind of thing, you don't want to. Otherwise, you're going to be eating those chemicals.
Or edible landscaping. I mean, around anything like herbs or your spices that you may plant in there and mixed around. But
exactly, and also plants that flower profusely. We want to help save the bees as much as we can. We really don't want to hurt them. So systemic insecticides are not what we want to go to first if we can help it, especially on flowering plants.
So I'm hearing imidacloprid, am I just making that up, or is that the probably the most common one that you see, right?
It's probably the most common and the most detrimental
to the bees
insecticide to the bees. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's already banned in the UK. I don't even think you can use imidacloprid anymore.
Yeah, in Europe, it pretty much has been banned. So,
and I think we're close behind. I think on that. I mean, it's
likely should be.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a great insecticide. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't just target the bad pests. It targets the good ones too. So we need to be careful with those.
Yeah, last resort for sure.
All right, Tyler, what else you got for us?
Okay, let's see. Pulling it up on the phone. I am.
Okay, I caught you off guard.
I feel like I have 700 arms right now, and
eyes. Need that because Tyler is in control, or so it would seem.
I'm pressing all the buttons here. That's for sure. Okay, well, actually, this one. Let's see if we can respond to this. Kaylee Morgan just said, "I want to brag on your employees. Everyone is so helpful, and we love Bates."
Oh,
well, you know what? I think that's an entirely appropriate thing to put out there, and we do appreciate that, Kaylee. And I think everyone who I'm privileged to have in my employ here at Bates Nursery, I've got a cast of characters that are
don't you? Okay.
that are not only full of information, but are fun to engage with, and
they're full of it, all right.
For all of us that get to work together, it makes it. We have a lot of fun together. We don't. We're serious about plants, but not about a whole lot else. We do have a good time with it, and so
cookies this time of year are great ways to appreciate the employees at Bates. Donuts, perhaps. Fruit trays?
Beef jerky.
We try
beef jerky.
The multiple approach here. We try to do things to
fresh garden eggs.
Make sure our cast of characters here know they're appreciated, and more than just words, hopefully. And so yes, I'm very privileged to get to have the
Ham of the Month Club.
Huh? We've been known to have a few goodies around,
okay,
and other signs of appreciation. And we won't go down to the
placards as well as the signs, right?
It's not just a printed out on
bumper stickers.
Yeah, it says, "Hey, thanks for being here." we try to do that, but it means more if there is other gifts associated with it. So,
and without too much embellishment, I'll move on to our other question from HB Endure, which asked, what do I do with my rosemary and lavender so it doesn't die over the winter?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's nothing you can do. It's Mother Nature for you. So one big question we have a lot of times is, will my rosemary or lavender live over the wintertime? But it's a great question, and it's not necessarily because of our coldness all that much, to be honest with you. Those plants are more cold hardy than you think they are. It's our winter wetness.
Right.
So if you have some kind of heavy clay soil, or you have an area that doesn't drain well or stays a little bit wet, that is a place you do not want to put rosemary or lavender. Put it in the driest spot you can find, western exposure, hot, sunny, as much as you can do. If you can put it, if you put it in the right place at first, it will live. Tyler, you can talk about this. You've got a massive rosemary in your backyard. Do you not?
I do.
Good spot.
And I've formed it into kind of a messy topiary. And I guess the spot, it likes
Is
it.
that a messiary?
Yes, it is a messiary. It's a scragglyary even.
I've seen it. It's gnarly. It's big though. It's gotten big. Rosemary gets big if you let it.
It is.
But it's just as good on chicken, though, regardless of what the form looks like.
It's fantastic.
There's lots of little twigs that I can clip off and wrap up pork with and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But it is about 3x3 or 4x4.
Yeah, it seems, rosemary to me seems to do a little bit better than lavender does. Now, I have lavender in my landscape, or I did, actually just recently removed it. But I did have lavender, and it lasted through the whole winter time. What happened, though, is that all the top growth died back. It just did. It looked horrible. So I hated it, and I wanted to cut it. So I cut it back all the way to the dirt, and then in the spring, it reshot up from the roots. So don't expect it to be necessarily an evergreen the whole time. If you treat it like a perennial, then you typically have better success. Because like I said, I cut mine back to the dirt. It came back with foliage, and it bloomed beautifully.
Sure.
So knock wood, we've got a lavender in our landscape as well, and we're on year 5, I think, with it. I mean,
do you have to cut yours back, Josh?
I'm not the pruning technician at the household, but yes, it generally does get cut back in the spring because it gets a little nasty looking through the winter. But,
yeah, they get gnarly.
But that one's probably 4 feet across. I mean, but it's happy where it's at as well. But it is a dry spot.
Yeah,
They do good in pots. That's a good dry spot.
I'll just say that I have lavender growing right now in an old darkroom developing sink that was at a newspaper, and so there's 3 different
chemicals
bins.
on it, Tyler?
No chemicals at all. I mean, it was stainless steel. Now it's a nice patinaed rust color.
It's kind of got a sepia tone to it, as it were.
I mean, it does, yes, but so it gets really excellent drainage, and so I have oregano and marjoram and lavender growing in these bins, and they love it. As long as you cut them back every now and then so they don't get too leggy, they seem to enjoy it a lot.
But to answer the question, there's nothing added that you need to do. You don't need to cover. You don't need to add mulch. Like I said, if it's in a bad spot, then you can work on your drainage scenario, but try to get it in a good spot first, and you should be fine.
I usually plant 2 or 3 rosemary together in a bunch to start, because it seems like they always have one. When I do that, there seems to be one that is much more dominant than the others as well. Mm-hmm. So if you do lose,
there
one,
are a lot of there are a great many different cultivars of rosemary as well. So there are some that grow decidedly more upright, some that will stay very prostrate and right on the ground, and kind of all in between. So
they grow it as hedges in Texas, don't they, Austin?
Oh yeah, they're evergreen shrubs out in Texas. My dad's got them in his landscape. Yeah, he lives in East Texas, and they're shrubs there. So it's a good little plant. Also, a little fun fact about rosemary: it will root in water. So take you a cutting if you have one that's like on the way out or not looking great. Take you a few cuttings, put it in a glass of water, and it'll root. It's a woody cutting that will root in water. So. That's a good way to get more plants.
All right. Hey, let's take just a minute and talk about where we are, guys. And it is all guys today, so I can use that term in the most accurate
Feel the
fashion.
testosterone in this room, boys and girls.
Bates Nursery and Garden Center. And this, for the holiday season, is our last Saturday until after the new year. Of course, next week is Christmas. The week after that is New Year's, and it's strange how that always seems to happen a week later. But we will be closed, and we've got some pretty specific hours over the next couple of weeks where that we will be closed from what I like to call Christmas Adam through the day or through Christmas Übermorgen, which is the day after Christmas, and then New Year's Adam through New Year's Übermorgen, which is the day after. So all that means is we're going to have 2 consecutive 4-day weekends that will be closed at Bates Nursery, and so that means we'll be here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week and of the following week. Wow. So be mindful of that. Now we've got a great deal going on for Bates Rewards members, and while I'm speaking of Base Rewards members, I want to take a moment to thank all the many wonderful people who take the time to read what I put forth. We've got approaching 27,000 subscribers, which absolutely blows me away. This morning, somehow over the last 6 or 8 weeks, our connectivity to our readers has really ramped up a lot. We're above 37% of those people, or almost 10,000 people, have opened it already this week. So I thank you for that and for reading what I put forth. And so we try to talk about some relative things and maybe tell a story or two just for fun. But what we are going to talk about is the 25% off all landscape plants. Now, the only exclusion are Japanese maples. They're
and
tropicals. That continues to be in, and that. So all of our bagged earth mixed goods are also included in that 25% off sale. Landscape plants, trees, shrubs, ground covers, all of those things, with the exception of Japanese maples, all 25% off. And you could come in here and engage with some of these really fun and personable and knowledgeable individuals like Austin and Ben and Adam and Shannon and Joy
and Tyler.
I
get out there.
Yeah.
Tyler will mix it up with you. He's not afraid to go there. So, and what also Tyler is not afraid to do is to really keep working on putting our information out there. Got to do the newsletter. And what Tyler does is the Bates Nursery Botanical Boot Camp, among other things. And if you click on that tab there, it will take you to that page. You just scroll down and you'll see, by the way, we got Best of Nashville for that effort last year.
Writer's Choice, which I didn't.
And the entire schedule upcoming and all of our previously recorded episodes are also available here. So you can click on that. You see a whole list of all of the shows we've done, and everybody, Josh, with the exception of you and me, has done episodes on this. So we're
and there's one that
I've
Ben
participated,
just did
but I did it by watching the BNBBC. I've asked questions of those.
There you go.
It's
so
wonderful information.
We've got all that out there. More than 70 informational long form answers to questions you may have. So check that out at batesnursery.com. And just remember this. even though we're going to be closed as you come through the weekend, we will be open 24/7 on batesnursery.com, and there you can go to the gift card area there right on the top right, and you can design your own card for whatever amount you want to send it to whomever you want to send it to, and there's no fee for handling that. You just create that, put it all together. You got all your different designs down there, or you can make one up on your own. That's over at batesnursery.com. And send that to the gardener in your life that you just don't know exactly what they want, but you know they probably do. So, and we'll certainly do our best to have it here at Bates Nursery. So we are conveniently located a mile north of Briley Parkway at exit 19 on Whites Creek Pike, and that's just minutes from Rivergate, Opry Mills, Donaldson, West Nashville, Smyrna. Man, it's worth the drive no matter where you're coming from. So come see us. It may look like we're putting stuff away because we actually are. We've got a lot of racks out on the yard that we're starting to load up with plants because we don't leave the plants on top of the ground all winter long. We have cold weather that had to be protected somewhat. So that's what you're seeing when you come out today, but we can still get those plants right out of those racks. So not to worry, you're going to take them home and plant them. So come out and see us. And remember, we're open Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday the coming 2 weeks here at Bates Nursery. So thank you for giving me really way longer than I intended to take on that, which is not, I guess, all that unusual. There you go.
Well, I'll add to what you said, David. And over the past couple of days, we've been putting stuff away like crazy. So it looks like we don't have anything on the lot. We've got conifers that are still out because they're very, very cold hardy. But other than that, everything has been put away pretty much in our brand new kind of greenhouse, if you will. But when you come out here and you look at the lot and say, gosh, there's nothing out here to look at, that's not correct. You just got to walk in our house and we'll walk in there with you and we will get you what you need. We still have almost all of our deciduous flowering plants that are inside the building. If you're ready to landscape now, 25% off. I mean, it's a great time to plant, and we've still got it. It just doesn't look like we've got it.
Yep.
Yeah, and the good thing you mentioned the structure. We completely redid that structure this year so that it is now you don't have to have a spelunking helmet and light on to be able to see in there. You actually there's really good light in there now, and it's much nicer shopping conditions during the winter time. So we've got that, and if you go down to the greenhouse area where
it's amazing.
Joy and Bridget are down there, they can certainly help you through all the perennial selections we have. So we've got that. Plus, I think easily the most extensive selection of tropicals anywhere around in Middle Tennessee. And as we go through the winter, those are continue to be items of great interest to many folks. So check all that out. Come out and see us.
We've had a week without Caroline, who's usually on the show with us on Saturday, and she's our greenhouse manager who takes care of all those plants. So we've been trying to make sure that we keep her plants looking good.
You better.
We better. So, yeah, there was a couple plants yesterday. I looked around and said, oh, God, I got to get water on that or it's going to go. So hopefully she's I don't know if she's listening or not. She's probably asleep. She was on vacation this past week. But anyway, I think our greenhouse is still tip-top. So
I noticed a new display in there, too. You have Zen gardens now, little sand.
We've had Zen gardens for a while, yeah.
Are they there? Okay.
I think you just noticed them, yeah.
There's a bonsai corner back there now.
There
I
is.
think is nice.
We have a bonsai corner. That's a great gift, by the way, for a plant lover. We've got bonsais already potted and ready to go and wired up and all looking cool. So that's a cool gift idea as well for a plant lover out there. So come on, get your bonsai.
Yeah, ones that can survive outside too.
Yeah, most definitely. Sure. And you can come out here and pick a plant, and I can bonsai it for you. You know, I really like doing that, pruning them up, making them kind of a cool shape. A lot of people think that bonsais are a specific plant or something, like it's a dwarf variety. It's not the case. Ben, you can talk on this. You like to do it.
Some of the best bonsais are the plants that
you don't think
kind of get cast away. That look like they're in bad shape, and we've been able to do some pretty creative things with them. And Ben is another person who's very handy with a pair of shears.
He is.
So he's very adept at trimming. And a lot of people have fear associated with that. Ben, why don't we talk about some trimming at this time of year? Now, this is not the time when you would normally tell people to be cutting things back severely, but certainly there's no harm at all in shaping things up that are particularly in the conifer families. There's many things you can do if you've got things that are just a little bit out of bounds.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, juniper is a great example. I mean, juniper, it's not going to care with the cold coming. But like you mentioned, broadleaf evergreens, and we say that hollies, laurels, stuff like that. If we have a little bit of warm weather and those try to grow and then we get a freeze after a prune, we could get some damage. So broadleaf evergreens, I would probably hold off until midwinter or maybe late spring at the earliest. But if it's a conifer, a juniper, a living Christmas tree, if you need to prune a few branches off of it, I mean, I'd say go for it. They're pretty resilient with the cold. But once we get into deep winter and the cold really settles in, these plants really shouldn't be growing anyways. So you could do a little pruning here and there. Just don't expect a huge response until spring.
Yeah. And juniper specifically gets shaggy. Oh, Tyler, you're there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Caroline, I mean, I'm a merciless producer, but I just had her send me over the questions from the At Home Show Instagram. There was one question from Miriam Mims, which I was trying to add on to Ben's response, which is, when will it be winter?
It's a good question.
I don't know.
It's the 21st, I think, is the day.
Yeah, officially that would be Tuesday. And, the good news about that is, as I will hear around my house, is that we can spread the good cheer that the days are officially getting longer again for those who suffer from who may have issues with short day length. It does start getting longer now. As far as when does the actual winter arrive, as far as temperature wise,
for us,
February tends to be a more winter like month, or as it was last year, the only winter month.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And actually that wasn't a month, that was a week. We had a week of winter last year.
Boy, didn't we have a week of winter.
And we had it was quite a busy time. We had one of our big greenhouse structures was flattened, and so
chaos.
Yes, we replaced that, thankfully, so that's all taken care of now.
Oh, we have another question on the At Home Show page, David, if you guys want to go for this.
Well, were you guys done talking about junipers?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can come back, but
we're not done talking about them.
No,
we're skipping around.
We got junipers all over everywhere. But Jake Dickerson is asking. He had a first-time homeowner ask if there was any winter grass seed that they can put out. And he advises that it's not in his wheelhouse, so he's asking the pros on the show.
Ooh, yeah, fescue for sure. I mean, I did lawn treatment for a few years. I've taken some turf grass classes, but fescue really, we call it a cool season grass. It will germinate in 50-degree weather. So if we're above freezing, even right at freezing, fescue seed will germinate. Now, whether you're going to get establishment out of it over the winter just depends on how our weather goes. But blue fescue is more resilient than you would think.
Well, and I guess the other thing I would toss in here. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, one of the issues with trying to put fescue out right now is that it's not that it won't germinate, but it might take it 3 or 4 weeks, and without the knowledge of what the future holds as far as temperature-wise goes, it might lie there all winter. If it's wet enough and warm enough, it could simply rot. So your next most practical time to put fescue out is really going to be late February, early March. Now, you could put rye grass out. It germinates quickly, but it's not perennial here. Even if it says perennial on the tag, here it's a lie because it gets too hot in summer.
But these new homeowners are probably wanting to have the Christmas card made, and it's probably a little late to get the grass up and growing before Christmas. But maybe a New Year's picture, if they were to sow some over these, especially over this next week, I think you could get some rye up and let it roll.
Oh, if you put out annual ryegrass right now, you will see green through the winter time if you do it this coming week.
A couple weeks,
if that's what you want. And it's just for a season, like David said. It's not going to, once the summer comes around, you ain't going to see green anymore. That's whenever you get your fescue on top of it. But if you just need green for the wintertime, put that ryegrass down. That stuff will germinate, quickly.
It's typically cheap as well.
It is. It's fairly cheap. So
And you see a lot of homeowners who are very much warm season turf grass enthusiasts, Bermuda or Zoysia, but they like to mow all year long.
Really?
So overseed with rye, and that way they'll have green. I don't exactly understand that mindset, but
the golf courses are probably
really
painting.
They like having that green grass out there, so they'll overseed with rye.
Yard boy will be glad to come to your house and cut your rye grass for you.
Absolutely.
Sure will.
I had a neighbor mowing just yesterday. He's all about his lawn. He loves it, and he's got a beautiful lawn. I don't know who he is, but he was mowing yesterday, and I saw him mowing up leaves, trying to get his leaves in order, and he put them in one single strip along the lawn, and I guess he was going to rake them or burn them maybe in the yard. So, people are still mowing. Not me.
Not I.
Not me either.
All right, Tyler.
Whoops.
Now, we talk about juniper? The only other thing I want to mention about junipers that we don't forget, and you can see from the shot here of Josh and I and the screen, is that there's a variety of colors of junipers, and of course conifers offer that in the wintertime, and it's very important. This is where they really the importance of conifers in the landscape becomes really important. This is where they really show their stuff. Things that might be solid green during the rest of the growing season have a bronze or gold cast to them now, or a much more vivid blue, depending on what the plant is. So that's, for me, is when conifers as a group really come to bear in the landscape and really make that striking difference.
And it's fun to me with juniper. What's cool is that there's a whole range. So it goes from literally ground cover, junipers that lay on the ground and just spread wide, and then you got medium-sized shrubs, if you will, that typically go more wide than they do tall, and they're just really good space-filling plants for a large area, and they grow very fast. And then you've got these upright forms of junipers as well that can get up to 20, 30 feet tall. So the range of juniper is really amazing to me, and then in their growth habits. And we sell so many different varieties of them.
Sure.
Juniperus communis, which is a plant that does communistness. No T.
They're all the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it hence the name, hence the species name communist. They're so common that it's like the most widespread plant on Earth. It lives in the whole top band of the world, if you will, from Canada to Russia and that whole band across the world. Juniperus communis. It's the most common plant, honestly, like almost most common plant on Earth. So, like I said, it doesn't really live in our zone very well, but up north, it's everywhere. So, junipers they're cool. I give it to Ben. He's got something going. He likes his juniper.
Yeah, but isn't it funny how they like the dry and the heat? Yet there are some varieties that just don't like our brutal heat in the summer. So
there are
seasonality.
Yeah, there are conifers in general that are really, like you were mentioning, very much extreme cold weather plants. They're perhaps a zone 2 hardy, but their heat tolerance is very much lacking. So,
and Ben just did his.
We only carry the ones here that do well in this part of the country. So you don't have to worry about coming out and accidentally buying the wrong thing. You'd have to be trying.
So if you're visiting people in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and you go to the local nursery and you buy something, you might want to make sure you let them know at the nursery, hey, I'm going to take this back to south of the Mason-Dixon line. Are we going to be okay? Yeah.
That actually happens a lot out here. We have customers that come down from places. They're in Nashville, looking around, and they end up at our store, and they tell me, yeah, I'm going to try to take this up to Pittsburgh or wherever they're trying to go. And I'm like, okay,
well, good luck with that Magnolia.
Yeah, we'll see.
They don't call it a Southern Magnolia for nothing.
Exactly.
But that's one of the things that in more northern climates, people see those magnolias here, and they are.
Oh, I gotta have it! It smells so good.
Yeah. And, well,
I think they can make biscuits too.
Get it in a really protected spot, you might have a shot at it. But up in Pittsburgh, not much. They're gonna you'd be very likely to get freeze damage, at least freeze
or
damage
mugged
every year, if not frozen out to the ground.
So speaking of this, I've got an uncle and an aunt that live in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and he claims that he's got the northernmost southern magnolia in the country. I don't know if this is true, but I do know he's got a southern magnolia in his yard because I've seen it with my eyes.
Now, the Harrisburg is in the eastern part of the state?
I think it eastern
I'm
central. I
not
kind of thought
okay.
it's the capital of Pennsylvania, but I was thinking it was more central. But either way, that's what he claims to me. I don't know if there's any truth behind that, but there is a southern magnolia in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, as we speak. Just so you know.
So if you drive by and see one, you'll know that is Austin's uncle.
Yep. Shout out, Randy and
Yep.
Karen. Hope you are watching. You're not.
All right, Tyler, have you got any other questions out there?
Yes, I do. I have about, let's see, 4 more.
Okay.
So,
if we can get to them, we will. We'll certainly try.
yeah, we got 15 minutes to go here on the clocky. We have a viewer on Facebook who just said, please say again, why not to mow leaves? Christina's asking.
We never said that.
No, I didn't say no. No, I said my neighbor was mowing his leaves. You can certainly mow your leaves, chip them up small, get them in the lawn, let them just kind of nestle in. It just kind of helps out with organic material. So
You don't want to have it like look like mulch on your yard, but I mean chopping them up and letting them go is great. But
yeah, and you only have to look at that for like a couple days.
Right.
Typically, the wind's going to disperse them, and it's going to look
The
fine.
only time where that would not be a particularly good idea is if you have newly established lawn.
Right.
And if you have really dense amount of leaf matter, it can actually smother out some of it. But other than that, if it's an established lawn and you can mow over it enough times where it grinds it up into very fine particulate matter that will break down quickly and go right back into the soil.
except
So
for
it's
the
a good
slimy
thing to do.
Bradford pear leaves, because they don't
You
mulch.
need-
They don't even
those can only
mulch
be
good.
cured by chainsaw.
Right.
Put the chainsaw up close to the ground and lay them down.
Yard Boy says after you mow them up a little bit, back up over the top of them, because it's going to shift the way that the blades are hitting those and chop them up even a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's a good idea.
Yep.
Mulching is one of my favorite methods of mowing. I used to bag, and now I'm a full mulcher.
You know, I got to speak on that. When I was a kid, my dad used to do that with the grass clippings, especially, and he used to make us rake them up and pick it up and put it around the tomatoes and the beans and the corn in the garden. It's a great way to mulch and not get weeds around the plants. But man, when I was a
Just keeping
kid,
you all busy.
that was horrible. Hated it, but it is a good idea.
All right, I'm gonna jump into our next question. Sorry, Jody Stick on Instagram. That was tangling my brain up. Would bringing potted plants inside a garage with a window help them survive winter in Tennessee?
Yeah, it depends on what it is. I mean, if it's a deciduous plant, bringing them in a garage is a great idea because it'll keep them from the freezing temperatures, but not keep them warm enough to where they're going to want to try to, regrow. We want them to kind of lay dormant and be fine. Now, if it's an evergreen plant, I prefer you to keep it outside in the sunlight as much as you can. We want to those plants need to keep photosynthesizing through the winter time, so we need to keep those out as long as they're cold hardy enough. Now, if we're talking about like gardenia, which is right on the line of being hardy and not, then that might be something you would bring in to your garage. But for the most part, hardy evergreens we're going to leave outside. Deciduous flowering things, go ahead and bring them in the shed or in a garage where it's cold enough but not super cold and not super warm.
And also, as a follow, that's the wrong cut. As a follow up to that question, what small trees would live well in a large container on a patio in Tennessee? Austin, you just did a webinar on evergreens and containers, and I know that we're not strangers to containers here.
No, we're not. And if you come out and see our lot right now, you'll see the plants that we leave out on the lot, just exposed through the whole wintertime. There's plenty of plants and so many that we can show you around here that you can keep in a pot through the wintertime that's going to live.
There's a beautiful Japanese maple right on the main hot walkway. That would do. It's been out there as for a long time. That would be gorgeous on a patio if you got room for them.
The red stem.
We were at Chef's Cafe, which they served us for our Christmas meal here.
Chef's
at Bates.
Market.
Chef's Market.
Yeah.
They have
Shout
two
out.
Japanese maples in pots, and they've been there for at least 10 years or
maybe more like 15, but
right,
yes.
right. So I mean,
Yeah, and they're just out there. They don't
You
protect
talk
them.
about a Christmas present. Oh my goodness!
Now, the one thing it's worth mentioning when we're talking about container plants and outdoors, be it deciduous plants or conifers, broadleaf plants are not going to be your best bet. They are certainly much more susceptible to freeze damage. But regardless of what you have planted, your chances of it surviving are much greater if you remember to water thoroughly before you go into a severe cold spell, and again immediately afterwards. And that may sound counterintuitive because you think, isn't the ground going to freeze? Isn't the water going to freeze? Well, yes, it does, but it fills the pore space in the soil that allows it to add thermal value to the soil, therefore reducing whatever damage you might get from the cold. And also, you don't want them to go into that kind of a situation, anything on the dry side. You want them to be really hydrated well going into that. So always remember to water before the severe cold arrives, and then again as soon as you can afterwards. And that will give your plants the very best opportunity to fully survive whatever ravages Mother Nature might dole out. Another thing, dude, is you need to use earth mix with them, don't you, David? I mean, now let's just say you had somebody from Rutherford County that wanted some earth mix, but didn't want to drive to 3810's Whites Creek Pike to get a bag or two. Where in Murfreesboro or the surrounding area might you find some? Well, you can go out there to the Red Pony and pick that up, and the great folks on the Earth Mix Network, and we'll just talk for a moment about that. If you go over to earthmix.net,
see how I tossed that
there
to
on
you
the big screen. You go over there to earthmix.net. You can look right up here, and it says Find Earth Mix. Click on that tab there, and it will take you over to the map page that will give you the locations of all the dealers of Earth Mix around Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, even up into Indiana and Ohio. And you can either zoom in or not out.
Focus on Rutherford County for me here real quick.
Let me see if I can get that up there, Josh.
Because Red Wagon's closed for the season, so I mean I know they're a great little dealer. But I bet Martin's has got it.
Yep.
So
there you are. There's Smyrna. There's your Red Wagon right there location. You go. There's that, and of course, like I said, they're closed for the season.
Yep.
But you go, there's Martin's Home and Garden, great sellers of Earth Mix products, as our Dickens and our the South Branch Nursery, both in Murfreesboro and also out in Nolensville. So,
and I know
anyway,
you know
no matter
where Dickens
you are,
is.
Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, or Ohio. There are Earth Mix locations all around, and it's not like other soils you're going to find on the market. They are 100% organic. We have really worked hard at making them a completely sustainable product. They do not have peat in them, and peat moss is one of those things that we've been sold on for years, and it is beneficial to plants, but what is not beneficial for are peat bogs. So if you're wanting to try to preserve peat bogs, coconut coir is a better substitute, we feel like. And in addition to its benefits of not depleting peat bogs, what you also get are no greenhouse gnats. So if you're using a product such as Proganics I, which is the indoor professional growing media, you're not going to have issues with those greenhouse fungus gnats because coconut coir does not attract them or create a conducive environment for them. And no matter what Earth Mix product that you're using or what plant you're trying to grow, there are Earth Mix products for all occasions. You can click on that and see the whole line of products from supernatural to garden to the product that we probably recommend more often than anything else, guys, is Earth Mix Landscape.
Yep.
And anyone who's planting, it is indeed a premium soil conditioner, and the benefits you get out of it are tremendous. So anyway, come out, come out to any of the locations around Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, and support the dealers who sell Earth Mix garden products. And remember, this success begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix garden products. So thank you, folks.
Absolutely.
All right, you want to try and get to the last couple questions here?
Certainly.
Let's do it.
Okay. Back to the gram. Any cool houseplants that aren't toxic to cats?
Cool ones?
Yes.
Many.
There.
Christmas cactus.
Yep.
There's a lot.
All the cactus.
Yeah, we've got a little sheet up in the garden center actually that tells you which houseplants are toxic to animals and which ones aren't, or moderately toxic or highly toxic. So the ASPCA website has a good list on that as well. If you want to, maybe get on that site and look before you come out here and make sure you're not picking a plant that's going to be toxic for your animal. They've got good sources out there. So, but we've got plenty of plants that are good for houseplants.
And I've got one right now that thinks that the artificial Christmas tree is edible, but it's pre-lit. So I keep trying to tell her, hey, you don't want to be chewing on that one. No, kitty. I mean,
Is that
The learning curve
catnip
can be
flavored?
tough.
Huh?
That's why cats have 9 lives, Josh. To give them that opportunity to survive some mistakes.
They really like the shiny flowers that are on the boxes too. I mean, for whatever. They shouldn't eat those either. So.
All right.
And
Come on, David.
all right,
Work with me, David. Work with me. Come on now.
All right. Yeah.
we've got one more here from Elaine King, our own formerly employed Elaine. She went on to
Elaine.
pastry chefdom.
Yes.
We miss you, Elaine.
We do.
miss her.
We really do. She's asking, why does my Alocasia stingray and Calathea ornata look burnt on the tips of the foliage?
You got them too hot in the oven.
Probably
Yeah.
a excess of soluble salts, and that is typically because of overwatering, Elaine. I've talked to you about this. We're not
Don't
going
make
to
him have to go there
water
again.
so frequently. We're going to let those plants dry out in between, and then we fill them up more so whenever they're ready for it. But if they're not ready for watering, you just kind of keep water around the root zone. Like I said, the soluble salts build up because of our water that we have around here, and you start to see yellow tips or browning tips, and it's very specific to the tips of the leaves. So this happens a lot with houseplants, a lot. So we don't want our houseplants to look bad. They can live, but we want them to live and look good. So figure out the watering process, okay? Let them dry out totally in between, and then fill them back up in the sink. Let them drain completely, and then sit them back where they need to be until it's time to do it again. So
And the beauty of it is, so if you water correctly, for indoor plants, it's at most frequent weekly, but more like every 10 days to 2 weeks process on watering plants. Some things can even go longer than that, depending on what they are.
yeah, like very popular snake plants, and mother-in-law tongue, those plants. I've had one of those for over a decade now. I water it like maybe once a month, maybe if it's lucky. So yeah,
You love your mother-in-law, right?
I do actually.
Well, because those of us, obviously, he knows that's a Sansevieria. For those of you who are keeping a score at home, that's what he's talking about.
Or
And
a
they
snake
do make
plant.
they're probably the most bulletproof plant that you can have in the house, as long as you don't overwater them.
That's right.
You got to let them dry out.
Do what I do and just forget about them as long as you can. And
That's-
when they start. I mean, they can go longer dry
Then
than they
wet.
can wet.
Yes,
So,
of course. Yeah.
They're more akin to the watering habits that you would associate with cacti or other succulents.
Most
They
definitely.
they store a lot, and if you feel the foliage on them, the foliage is just full of moisture, and they can go a long time between waterings.
Very, very good.
Yep.
Very,
All
very
right.
good.
Well,
Hey,
that's all our questions. So-
well, next week, folks, absolutely, we're going to be here. I mean, we're coming in on Christmas morning. We're going to be all the way out here at the nursery.
I'm ditching my 3 kids.
Yeah, man.
No Christmas for the at-home show.
I mean, we may be in a little bit of a rush because we're going to start early. I mean, we're going to start at 8:00. So I mean, most people, unless you've got the little ones, maybe you have Christmas at 2:30. I mean,
We're going to have some really nice Christmas music
yes, we are.
in the program, so we're really looking forward to having Allegra Kramer back on again. So stay tuned for that. But and we're going to be working on, Austin and Tyler are going to be working on our set a little bit during the holidays where, come first of the year or after, we may have a slightly different look. We're working on that.
You getting a haircut?
Getting the paintbrushes out.
Yeah, we're gonna try to brighten the thing up, do a little refresh. It's time. We've been on this set now for more than a year, and we've continued to work at it, and that's all good. But change is the only constant, as it is.
You evolve or you die, as it were.
Exactly.
That's a nice, happy Christmas thought, isn't it?
Yes, evolve or die. Merry Christmas.
All righty, folks. Yeah, like I said, we're gonna, for everybody here, it's been on the show. Appreciate it, and for a lot of folks asking questions, a lot of folks looking at us this morning. So we appreciate you doing that. Again, we're gonna be here next Saturday, so set the alarm. Don't put on the fireplace on the TV. Put the at-home show up out there while you're opening up your Christmas packages. And hey, be safe. Don't do stupid. And by the way, folks in Pittsburgh, don't mess with Poppy Joe. It's not going to end well. Go Titans. See you next Saturday. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody.